A mother's love is immeasurable, even in the hardest situations. A mother would never intentionally hurt her child. In some extreme cases, if she can't provide for them, she might place her child in an orphanage. This tough choice is usually driven by her desire to ensure a better life for her child than she can provide. In a tragic turn of events in 2008 in Anyang, Gyeonggi Province, South Korea, a mother was found brutally murdered. Neighbors said she often argued with her boyfriend, which led some to suspect him. But shockingly, the evidence pointed to someone completely unexpected: her son, who she had brought back from the orphanage. Let's delve into today's case. I know some of you find it funny that I play games, but why not? Playing games helps me forget the dark stuff and de-stress, and it's actually really fun. I didn't know so many of you were already playing the game. After my last raid ad, I was surprised that so many of you did join my clan. And not just newbies, but longtime players too. I am still at level 30 as I record this, but I am definitely keeping up with you all. And now, on to some more incredible deals from Raid, our sponsor for today's video. They're offering a ton of free stuff exclusively through my link in the description or by scanning a QR code from the screen. You can get a free legendary and 2 strong epic heroes, win a gaming console, Amazon gift cards worth $10,000, and more in-game prizes. So here's how you can win. Raid is celebrating spring with a special Spring Hunt minigame event. Just download Raid via my link or QR code, visit this website, enter your Raid ID, and start hunting for hidden items in Mistwood. On top, Raid is also celebrating Community Weeks. During this week, Raid is giving every player a legendary champion Chronicler Adeline for those who log in for 7 days between April 11th and July. If you're new, you will instantly receive a massive starter pack, which includes Champion Tayrel and another pack with Rector Drath after reaching level 25. So download the game via my link using the promo code SPRINGHUNT24 to grab some silver and other items. And find me under the name Darkmegan if you haven't yet joined my clan, and let's play together. Thanks again to Raid for sponsoring today's video. On June 7, 2008, Kang Mak-sim, a 42-year-old karaoke bar hostess, didn't show up for work for 2 days, which was completely unlike her. Her colleague, worried by her absence, tried calling and texting, but got no response. She decided to check on Kang herself. When the colleague arrived at Kang's home, she noticed the lights were on, but no one answered despite repeated ringing of the doorbell. Out of frustration, she pushed the front door, which unexpectedly slid open. Inside, she found a horrifying scene. Kang's body was in a pool of blood in the living room. The crime scene was gruesome. A detective who surveyed the crime scene noted it was one of the worst he'd seen. Kang had been stabbed multiple times, suffering 39 wounds, including a severe one that penetrated her cheek and damaged her teeth. Even the responding officers were shocked by the brutal nature of the crime. The investigation revealed that the victim's house was on the 2nd floor, and during the incident, a window in a small room was found open. Below this window, on the bed, were footprints on a cushion. These footprints, stained with blood from the victim, were consistent throughout the movement path, indicating that the intruder had entered through the small room's window. And here's why this evidence is crucial. The direction of the footprints indicates that the perpetrator entered through the window, attacked the unsuspecting victim suddenly without any resistance, and then escaped through the front door. This straightforward path suggests the motive was likely murder, with no evidence of any other intent. This is the initial analysis based on the scene's evidence. However, the investigation also uncovered signs of a robbery. Drawers and wardrobes in the bedroom were left open and messy, and cash was missing from the victim's wallet. This led to the initial conclusion that the murder was related to a robbery, although certain aspects of the crime raised doubts. The disarray in the bedroom of Kang Mak-sim's house seemed suspicious. While the drawers and closets were messy, the clothes inside were neatly arranged. Additionally, although cash was taken, valuable items like the victim's bank book and wallet were left behind, suggesting inconsistencies at the scene. Experienced detectives suspected that the murder might have been staged to look like a robbery. The excessive number of stab wounds, totaling 39, indicated a release of pent-up anger. Unfortunately, no CCTV cameras were around Kang's house, and tracking via car dash cams was challenging at that time. This made identifying suspects difficult. No fingerprints or DNA evidence, such as hair, was found inside the house. The police began interviewing people close to the victim, suspecting the killer might be someone familiar to her. They discovered that Kang, who had been living with her 20-year-old son following a divorce 7 years earlier, had been living alone since her son moved out a few months prior. During this time, her boyfriend, let's call him B, had frequently visited her home. However, neighbors reported that Kang and B's relationship was troubled, often hearing loud arguments from the residents. On the day of the murder, neighbors reported hearing screams from her house but dismissed them as just another argument. Initially, B was considered the prime suspect. This suspicion was reinforced by the testimony of Kang's son, Kim Jeong-gyun, who was devastated by the loss of his mother, his only family. He mentioned that his mother and B often fought because he suspected she was seeing someone else. He was convinced B was responsible and even urged the police to conduct an autopsy to reveal the truth behind his mother's tragic death. Further inquiries into the victim's relationships by the police revealed that acquaintances felt she suffered greatly because of B's obsessive behavior. During a telecommunications investigation, it was noted that B, who had been frequently calling Kang, suddenly stopped contacting her a few days before the incident. Just as suspicion towards B was intensifying, detectives stumbled upon an unexpected discovery during the investigation that added complexity to the case. During the investigation of Kang Mak-sim's murder, police discovered she had taken out 13 insurance policies starting a year before her death, with premiums totaling 1.8 million won per month. The policies would pay out approximately 320 million won upon her death, with her son, Kim Jeong-gyun, named as the beneficiary. While it's common for children to be beneficiaries, this large number of policies raised suspicions about her son's involvement. Kim Jeong-gyun claimed he was at his apartment, drinking with 3 friends the evening before the murder, an alibi confirmed by his friends. He also stated he was unaware of the multiple insurance policies his mother had. However, during the investigation, the son's detached demeanor when discussing his mother's death struck the police as odd. He spoke about her as if she were a stranger, showing no apparent grief or surprise. And this behavior could be partly explained by their complicated history. Due to financial struggles, Kang had placed her son in an orphanage where he stayed for 10 years before she reclaimed him at the age of 18. The police speculated that their time apart might have affected their emotional connection, possibly explaining his lack of visible emotion following her death. Kang Mak-sim's close friends reported that she often expressed regret over the hardships her son endured during his childhood. She felt guilty for not being able to provide more for him and saw the insurance policies as a way to secure his future should anything happen to her. To afford the hefty insurance premiums, Kang worked relentlessly, managing a cross-stitch store by day and working as a karaoke hostess by night. Despite the financial support she provided, including covering his college tuition and living expenses, police considered whether there could be lingering resentment from Kim Jeong-gyun as a motive for murder, given his earlier years spent in an orphanage. The investigation initially focused on two suspects, Kang's boyfriend, B, and her son, Kim Jeong-gyun. B had an alibi supported by mobile phone tracking and residential CCTV, showing he was at home since leaving work the day before the incident. Importantly, neither B's nor Kim Jeong-gyun's footprints matched those found at the crime scene. The investigation hit a standstill until police discovered a new clue: a small amount of blood on the front door handle, indicating the perpetrator might have been injured during the attack. The blood type was O, which didn't match either B or Kim Jeong-gyun, pointing to the involvement of a third party. Further scrutiny was placed on the statements of the friends who were with Kim Jeong-gyun the night before the murder. These friends, who had also grown up with him in the orphanage, seemed to confirm his alibi. However, one friend, who claimed to have arrived late due to work, appeared evasive and hesitant under more intense questioning, raising suspicions about the truthfulness of their initial statements. Under pressure, the friend eventually confessed a critical detail previously omitted. There had been a fourth person at the apartment that night, not initially mentioned by Kim Jeong-gyun or the other friends. This fourth person, Cho Kyung-hwan, was part of the group, but deliberately excluded from initial police statements. This revelation redirected the focus of the investigation as police sought to understand Cho Kyung-hwan's role in the events leading up to Kang Mak-sim's death. It turned out that Kim Jeong-gyun had specifically instructed his friends not to mention Cho to the police if questioned. This was suspicious because all of them were supposedly together that night, yet Cho was deliberately left out of their accounts. Given Cho's close relationship with the group and his previous cohabitation with Kang, this omission seemed highly significant. However, Cho had turned off his mobile phone and disappeared. Further inquiries revealed that Cho had abruptly traveled to Kunsan in North Cholla Province the day after the murder. Investigations at the orphanage where Cho had lived turned up a crucial detail. Cho's blood type was O. Another piece of the puzzle fell into place when one of Kim Jeong-gyun's friends, who had arrived late that night from a part-time job, recalled seeing a bandage on Cho's right finger, suggesting he might have been injured. With Cho now a strong suspect, the police reached out to his friends from the orphanage, anticipating he might try to contact them while on the run. The strategy paid off when, on June 26, 2008, Cho was arrested in a phone booth a few kilometers from Kunsan. Surrounded by police, Cho resigned to his fate and confessed to the murder of Kang, the mother of his close friend. Following his arrest, Cho Kyung-hwan delivered a shocking twist to the investigation. He claimed that Kim Jeong-gyun, the son of the victim Kang Mak-sim, had orchestrated the murder. Despite Kim's public displays of grief and calls for justice, Cho revealed that Kim was fully aware of the numerous insurance policies his mother had taken out, contradicting his earlier statements to the police, denying knowledge of them. According to Cho, Kim had expressed his frustration with their poor living conditions and proposed a grim solution, saying, "How long do we have to live so miserably like this? Let's get rid of my mom and live comfortably for once with the insurance money." Kim reportedly became obsessed with the idea of inheriting the substantial insurance payout, estimated at 320 million won. He allegedly concocted a murder plan and enlisted Cho, his close friend, to carry it out, promising him a share of the insurance money as compensation. On the early morning of June 7th, after ensuring their other friends were asleep from drinking, Kim and Cho quietly left for Kang's house. Kim had arranged a ladder to access the house through a small room's window before his mother returns home. He climbed inside, opened the door for Cho, and then returned to the car to wait. Around 5 p.m., as Kang returned from work, Kim saw her approaching and concealed himself. He then called Cho to signal that his mother was entering the house, directing him to proceed with the murder plan. While Cho committed the brutal assault inside, Kim Jeong-gyun maintained watch at the front door to prevent any escape attempt, trapping his mother inside with her assailant. After the murder, both re-entered to stage the crime scene as a robbery. They took money from Kang's wallet, attempted to erase fingerprints, disrupted the house, and left. The duo then drove to a nearby mountain to discard the crime tools, including a knife, gloves, and clothing. They returned to their apartment, maintaining the facade of having been there all night, deceiving their friends about their whereabouts and activities. This new testimony dramatically changed the direction of the investigation, implicating Kim Jeong-gyun as a co-conspirator in the murder of his own mother, driven by greed and facilitated by his close friend. Cho Kyung-hwan's confession revealed that Kim Jeong-gyun had once asked his mother if his friend Cho could live with them, leveraging their shared history from the orphanage. Initially, Kang agreed, possibly out of a desire to care for another child from the orphanage. But as economic pressures increased, Cho was eventually forced to leave the house. This expulsion bred resentment in Cho towards Kang, which may have influenced his later actions. When the police heard Cho's confession, they quickly arrested Kim Jeong-gyun at his residence in Anyang. Despite the evidence and Cho's statement, Kim brazenly denied all charges. But the evidence against Kim was compelling. The police found that Kim had rented a car and refueled it at a time he claimed to be asleep at home, according to his credit card statements. Additionally, fingerprints found on the position where he placed his hand when entering through the small window of the home were confirmed to be his. The crime was both unbelievable and heartbreaking. His mother had always reassured him, saying, "Don't worry, even without Mom, I've prepared everything so you can live well." Yet, despite her reassurances, instead of showing any remorse, he harbored resentment towards her for sending him to the orphanage. When his friend Cho confessed, he was trembling and even cried, but Kim Jeong-gyun claimed he didn't know Cho would stab his mother so many times, saying bluntly, "I didn't tell him to stab her that much." When asked by the police if he saw his mother's body when he re-entered the house, he coldly remarked that he didn't think of anything and just wanted to get it over with quickly, focusing only on living comfortably with the insurance money. During the investigation, another crime committed by the duo came to light. 2 months before Kang's murder, on April 25, 2008, they had attacked a cafe owner in Anyang, stealing her credit card and 100,000 won, possibly as a rehearsal for the subsequent murder. Throughout the interrogation, Cho appeared remorseful and cooperative, in stark contrast to Kim's cold and defiant demeanor. Eventually, on November 12, 2008, overwhelming evidence led to both being initially sentenced to life imprisonment. They appealed, but the appellate court escalated the sentence to the death penalty, which was later upheld by the Supreme Court on June 23, 2009. Even then, Kim Jeong-gyun displayed no remorse, provocatively asking in court, "What has my mother ever done for me?" and causing a commotion. It is reported that Kim Jeong-gyun and Cho Kyung-hwan both took their own lives in prison in 2011 and 2012, respectively. It's a sad reminder that family relationships can be devastated by greed and betrayal. Our thoughts go out to the mother who worked tirelessly every day to secure a good life for her son, only for her efforts to be tragically repaid with ingratitude and violence. This case makes us think about the need for us to examine our values and what it means to be part of a family. It's heartbreaking and leaves us questioning how such a betrayal could even be possible. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.